Imagine waking up one morning. You're exhausted, you need energy, but there's no coffee machine, no Starbucks, no instant coffee, not even a simple cup of coffee waiting for you. So when did humans actually discover coffee? And more importantly, who was the first person crazy enough to drink it? The answer takes us back hundreds of years to the mountains of Ethiopia and into one of the most fascinating stories in human history. But there's a problem. We don't actually know the exact moment when the first human drank coffee. There are legends, there are historical records, and there are clues. But no ancient diary says, "Today I discovered coffee." Instead, coffee's story begins with a plant, a small tree covered in bright red berries. These berries contained something powerful. Inside them was caffeine, and eventually humans figured out how to turn those little berries into the drink we know today. The Ethiopian beginning coffee plants are believed to have originated in the forests of Ethiopia. For centuries, people living in the region likely encountered wild coffee plants and their berries, but exactly how they used them remains uncertain. One famous legend tells the story of a goat herder named Kaldi. According to the story, Kaldi noticed something strange. His goats were eating red berries from a particular tree, and afterward, they became unusually energetic. They jumped around, they moved constantly, and they seemed almost impossible to calm down. Kaldi became curious. So he tried the berries himself, and he experienced their stimulating effects. The story says Kaldi then took the berries to a local monastery. A monk supposedly rejected them, calling them dangerous or unsuitable. The berries were thrown into a fire, but something unexpected happened. As they roasted, they released an incredible aroma. The beans were recovered from the fire, crushed, and mixed with hot water. And according to the legend, the first coffee was born. It's a great story, but there's one important catch. There is no reliable historical evidence that Kaldi actually existed, so we shouldn't treat the goat herder story as proven history. The real story is more complicated. From berry to beverage, humans probably didn't immediately start roasting coffee beans and making the modern drink. The transformation happened gradually. People could eat the coffee cherries. They could potentially process the seeds in different ways. And over time, communities discovered that roasting and brewing the beans created a completely different experience. Eventually, coffee made its way across the Red Sea to Yemen. And this is where the history becomes much clearer. By around the 15th century, coffee was being cultivated and consumed in Yemen. Sufi communities played an important role in coffee's early history. Why? Because coffee could help people stay awake. For religious scholars and Sufi practitioners who spent long hours praying and studying, that stimulation could be useful. Coffee became more than a drink. It became a tool for staying alert. And then something fascinating happened. Coffee began moving beyond religious communities. The rise of coffee houses. By the 16th century, coffee houses were appearing in parts of the Middle East. These places were social spaces. People came to talk, to listen, to exchange ideas, to hear news, and sometimes simply to spend time with other people. Imagine walking into one of these early coffee houses. There's no Wi-Fi, no television, no smartphone, but there are conversations everywhere. People discussing politics, business, religion, stories, travel, and rumors. Coffee houses became places where information traveled. In some ways, they were like the social networks of their time. Except instead of scrolling, people actually talked. Coffee travels the world. From Yemen and the Middle East, coffee eventually spread into other parts of the world. European travelers encountered coffee and brought stories of the unusual beverage back home. By the 17th century, coffee was becoming increasingly popular in Europe, and coffee houses began appearing in cities such as London, Paris, and Vienna. Something remarkable was happening. Coffee wasn't just becoming popular because of its taste. It was changing how people spent their time. A person could enter a coffee house, order a drink, meet strangers, hear news, discuss business, and exchange ideas. Some coffee houses became associated with merchants, writers, scientists, and political thinkers. Coffee was helping create a new social environment. But the journey wasn't always smooth. Some people questioned the drink. Was it healthy? Was it dangerous? Was it appropriate? In different places and periods, coffee faced suspicion and even attempts at restriction. Yet the drink kept spreading. The mystery of the first cup. And now we return to the original question. When did ancient humans start drinking coffee? The honest answer is, we don't know exactly. Coffee itself is much older than the written history of its use. The coffee plant originated in Ethiopia, but the earliest well-documented evidence of coffee being prepared as a beverage comes much later, particularly from Yemen around the 15th century. That means the famous story of a goat herder discovering coffee may be a legend created to explain something that happened much more gradually. Maybe humans experimented with the berries for generations. Maybe someone noticed that eating them caused unusual energy. Maybe another person discovered roasting. And eventually someone realized, wait, What if we put these roasted beans in hot water? That tiny experiment may have changed history. From ancient discovery to modern addiction today, billions of people around the world drink coffee. It's part of morning routines, business meetings, study sessions, long drives, conversations, and early mornings. We have espresso machines, cold brew, cappuccinos, lattes, instant coffee, and countless variations.